today I brought you guys a monstrosity.
Listen up, Rangers. Welcome to the Geechess. My name's Steve, and we're in the spooky basement with all the dinosaur toys. I don't know where I'm even going with this. But anyways, so today we got a special sort of how-to video, and had a problem because I filmed it. I remember filming it, but for some odd reason I don't have the files. Because couple options. I could have either been a Steve, and when I went to film it, I didn't actually click record, didn't save on the card. Possibilities. Could also accidentally delete it off the card. Don't remember doing that, but that could have happened, or also was missing off the computer. So what we have is, you guys, if you haven't seen the Stevie toy room, you should go see it. The one with the there's an imposter among us. Because in that video, you'll see that there's a weird SH MonsterArts figure that pops up in there. And what that is it was originally a 2004 Godzilla that became a Doppelganger Godzilla, like in the comic book from Godzilla in Hell, which I know isn't the right Godzilla, but I had an extra 2004, thought it'd be really fun to do. So, initially what happened was I did a custom for a commission, doing some repaints that I still haven't actually edited the videos for, which was some 2004 Godzillas did different variations of the atomic blast spines. So there was like the blue, the reddish orange, and then it like transitioning into that with swirls. And in the process of doing that, misplaced one of the hands, because like a lot of people know what that Godzilla, it's very super loosey-goosey. So sometime in the process of doing the sealing for the paint, one of the hands popped off, don't know where it went. So I had him send me another one as pretty much payment. So I could get the extra hand, give it to the figure, send it off, and now I have a handless 2004 Godzilla I got to kind of figure out something to do with. Was thinking about doing a zombie variation, but kind of fell on the Doppelganger just because I thought it was cool, and I like doing the stuff that's like comic book related. So what you'll see here is some processes, the process of me going through making it, which is first chopping it up into pieces, having to take the neck, the back of the head off, opening up the chest cavity and around the thighs, and then using paper clips to help support it. And then after doing that, using parts from a few Independence Day figures, specifically the tentacles. I think I used some toes and the little finger things from one of the aliens in order to help support it even more and also give it a little bit more character. And then took a bunch of epoxy putty, sculpted around it, trying to make it look as much like fleshy muscle skin as humanly possible. Did it along the backs, around each of the floating chunks in order to connect them to the body. And then sculpted the rest of the intersection of the mouth and the inside of the chest. And for the teeth, used toothpicks that I coated in resin to make them not look quite like toothpicks, and also help kind of seal them into the mouth more to hopefully keep them from popping off. Also use super glue in a lot of sections. I think the back is pretty much predominantly sealed in resin and glue. But after that, hooked all the tentacles to it, which quite a few, because as you guys, if you've seen the comic, you see all the tentacles flying off of the Doppelganger Godzilla. So I wanted to replicate that, and then proceeded to paint it in a bunch of different reds, like dark reds, regular reds, just again to try to get it that fleshy, muscly look to it. And then afterwards, like I said, super glue to seal. Use red resin to kind of give that translucent, like blood dripping effect, and then also with the actual blood dripping off that's UV resin, translucent red UV resin that I was sticking the figure outside of a door in order to cure the resin really quick. Add a little bit more to get that dropping, dripping effect. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the discussion on how it came to be. Because I lost that video, I contacted the guy that bought it as the toy box, or I know it's Russell, who also, funny enough, was the one that I did the 2004s to begin with. I had contacted him, wanted to see if he wanted to do a review, and he much obliged, so on to the review.
John Carpenter's Godzilla. Crazy Red Emu here with a special Halloween review of a custom Godzilla. This, much like the other customs I've reviewed recently, was by Steve over at the Geek Chest. Now, this wasn't a commission, however. He did this for fun and then sold it afterwards, and wow, of course I had to pounce on it. Now, for those not in the know, this is actually Doppelganger Godzilla from the comics Godzilla in Hell. Godzilla faces off against him in, I believe, the 5th issue, which I do not own, so I cannot show you a comparison. Some artistic licensing had to take place, though, because the art style kind of mixed and matched Godzilla. So the Godzilla in that comic had like the 90s feet, but with the 2000s head, and the back, I think, was more 90s. So in order to be an exact replica, you'd have to mix and match Godzillas themselves just as a base. Now, speaking of the base, the original Godzilla figure was MonsterArts, the Final Wars Godzilla, to be precise. The tentacles are bendy wire tentacles from the Trin Master Independence Day toy line. So they came off all the aliens. Which you can see the hands from the aliens in here. There's little graspers popping out of this here chest hole. There's also a lot of sculpting. I believe these parts here were sculpted. You also got all this like goo, slime stuff coming off that's just looks fantastic. Now, there might be some white dots in here because he shipped it in with some foam. And the foam pellets decided to like fuse to parts of them, and I've had a hell of a time getting them off. So, yeah, the joys of shipping. Oh well. Now, I've been kind of afraid to bend the wires. I don't want to pop them off. He said they were secure, though, so a real sit on the shelf and look terrifying kind of figure. I can probably open this. Also, you gotta worry about the paint when bending stuff, because you could it'll flake off. And underneath here it's either blue or tan. I forget which figure he actually used. There's like a blue one and a tan one, obviously. I have a blue one myself up on the shelf. Let's see. This still moves. Most of the articulation is still there, like this arm down to the hand. Funny story about this, the whole reason he had an extra Final Wars was he was doing an actual commission for me, and he lost one of the hands and had to buy a whole nother figure just for that hand to replace the one on mine. So since he had an extra one missing a hand, he decided to go for the Hell Godzilla. I like the little tail tip popped off. Anywho. Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. Ooh, look at the face. Look at the face. Look at those. Face scars are cool. I'm like too busy gushing over the figure to actually do a proper review. Some more of that. I live in a very dusty house. I got 2 cats and 2 dogs. And 2 birds, which you've been hearing the entire review because they won't shut up. You think this lighting's for mood lighting? No, I turned the lights off so they'd be quieter. Okay, now that's like that. Thought I broke it already. Come on. Now it's like that. The reason I'm doing this video is because Steve lost his footage. Everybody laugh at Steve now. I just love that this jaw wiggles. Now here he is next to the actual original figure. As you can see, the custom work he did for me, part of it was a pair of fists, which isn't really related to this Godzilla, but, you know, I wanted to show him off anyway. The real tough question with this figure, however, is where do I put him on the shelf? Like, where does he belong? Does he belong next to the Final Wars? Or do I put him the year the comic was made? Just so many unanswered questions. But that's all for this video. Crazy Red Emu signing off.